Hello, and welcome to the Breakdown Lane.
Markets move fast, and so should your understanding.
What happens when your RSUs vest? What are the tax implications? How should you prepare for it? And what is the best way to actually receive your shares once they vest? We're going to answer all of these questions and more in today's video. So, let's get into it. Alright, so first things first. When your RSUs vest, that simply means that you have now officially earned those shares, and they are yours to keep, regardless if you stay at the company or leave the company. And this is true even if you do actually see the shares hit your brokerage account right away. More on that later though. Once your RSUs vest, they will be subject to taxes. And there are 4 different types of taxes that you need to be aware of. Federal income tax, state income tax, FICA tax, which covers Medicare and Social Security, and finally, possibly an additional 3.8% tax on top depending on your income. So what this means is that when your RSUs vest, you need to set aside some money to cover these taxes. The amount of money you need to set aside can vary depending on a number of factors, including your tax bracket, what state you live in, what the fair market value of the stock is on the day that it vests, and how much other income you have that year. Now, if you've had some big capital gains from investments this year, then your tax bracket is going to go up, meaning that you're going to owe more taxes on your RS. Similarly, if your RSUs vest and the stock price is at an all-time high, then you're gonna owe more taxes because the fair market value is higher. And if you're in a high tax bracket, again, you're going to owe more taxes. So as you can see, it's pretty hard to say exactly how much you're going to owe. But a good rule of thumb is to expect about half of the vested shares to go towards taxes. So here's a quick example. Let's say that you own 1,000 RSUs, and each RSU represents 1 share of stock. You're in the 22% tax bracket and the stock price is $100 per share. So if we do some very basic math, you're going to owe around $550 in taxes. Half of $10,000 would be $5,000, which is what you would owe in taxes. Keep in mind though, this is just a super basic example. If you have a high income or a high tax bracket, you might end up owing closer to 60 or even 70% of the vested shares. So it is always best to err on the side of caution and set aside more money than you think you might need. Now, once the vesting period has ended, the shares will typically be immediately available for you to sell. However, there are instances where they won't be. This is because many companies require that you wait a certain period of time before you can actually sell your shares. For example, some companies may require you to wait 1 month, 3 months, or even 6 months before you can sell your shares. And if you leave the company before that waiting period has ended, then you still won't be able to sell your shares. This is done to prevent employees from simply buying the stock when they know that their vesting period is about to end, and then immediately selling it for a profit. If you can't sell your shares right away, then you will need to decide whether or not to hold on to them until you're able to sell them. The decision of whether or not to hold on to your shares is a personal one that depends on a number of factors, including your financial situation, your investment goals, and your risk tolerance. If you need the money in the short term, then you may want to consider selling some or all of your shares. But if you're able to wait, then holding on to your shares could be a good idea, since the longer you wait, the greater the chances are that the stock price will go up. Of course, this is not guaranteed, so there is a risk involved in holding on to your shares. But if you're willing to take that risk, then it could pay off in the long run. When deciding whether or not to hold on to your shares, you also need to keep in mind the taxes that you'll owe. If you're in a high tax bracket, then you may want to consider selling some or all of your shares as soon as you're able to. That way you can spread out your capital gains over several years, which will help you avoid getting hit with a large tax bill all at once. In terms of the best way to actually receive your shares once they vest, there are 2 options. You can either receive the shares in a brokerage account or have them transferred directly into your personal brokerage account. There are pros and cons to each option, so it's important to weigh them carefully before making a decision. Receiving the shares in a brokerage account is typically the easier option, but you may not be able to sell them right away. If you choose to have the shares transferred directly into your brokerage account, you'll need to fill out some paperwork, but you may be able to sell them sooner. Ultimately, the decision of how to receive your shares is up to you. Just make sure that you understand the implications before making a decision. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you learned something new. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and comment below to let me know what you think. I post new videos every single week, so there's always fresh content coming up. And if you're interested, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.